Thoughts on Books fans? This is Scorp1701, and tonight ends a journey that we started back in May 2019 when I made the announcement on this channel that we were going to be taking a look at the 1991 Jim Lee X-Men series, starting with the Blue Strike Force, followed by the Gold Strike Force, and moving into X-Factor. Now, these were the three main mutant titles that I read in the 90s, and I loved them. And of course, these were not the only mutant titles. You see, X-Men got so big and there were so many mutants, they had to break them up. Even the X-Men team itself was broken up into Blue and Gold. And then they had the X-Factor. And then they had X-Force, and they had Excalibur. Those are all mutants of all different powers and interesting stories for each of them. But of course, these were the only three that I was interested in. So tonight, I kind of want to recap of the last few years of what we've been looking at and the adventures that we've had. So I'm going to bring out each of the different teams and we'll take a look at them, and I think we'll have some fun remembering these guys. Alright, so starting off, let's take a look at the 1991 Jim Lee X-Men Blue team. And here we have the X-Men Blue team from Marvel Legends, and it is awesome. Obviously, we had to get these from various places, and I'll discuss a little bit about each one as we go through it. Now, Professor X, as you can see here, he was a deluxe figure. Came in what they call Marvel Rides, and he has his hover chair, and that was pretty cool. Now, he can fit in with the Blue team as well as the Gold team, and I'll have them in both displays. But starting with Wolverine. Wolverine came from the Retro Carded series because I thought the Juggernaut Build-A-Figure Wave Wolverine was a little darker, and this one was lighter and fit with the comic a little better. That's just, of course, going to be opinion, but that's how we went with things. Next, we have Cyclops. This Cyclops came from the Love Triangle 3-pack with the Tiger Stripe Wolverine, the newly designed Jean Grey, and obviously Cyclops here with his brown leather coat. That was the main difference between this Cyclops and the Warlock Build-A-Figure series Cyclops. That and the colors of blue here on Cyclops were darker here. The Warlock Cyclops had bright blues, and the yellows here are brighter. The yellows on the other Cyclops were that goldish yellow, kind of matching Rogue here. But I think I would have preferred a Cyclops without the jacket, but you know, finding the Warlock Cyclops was proving to be difficult, and I didn't really want to pay as much as they wanted to charge for him. So this was decent. This was the same figure, and it was just technically more accessorized. So I went with this one. All right, next we come to Beast right here. Now, Beast was from the Caliban Build-A-Figure Wave, and he was awesome. He was a new sculpt. They had put out a couple Beasts before, but this one fit the Jim Lee mold to a T, so I definitely had to pick that one up with him. Also, Jubilee here. She came out of the Caliban Build-A-Figure Wave, as did Gambit. So that was a good wave. In fact, that was the wave that made me decide to actually do these reviews. So you can thank the Caliban Build-A-Figure Wave. Next we have Psylocke. She came from the Apocalypse Build-A-Figure Wave, and she was actually had a different variant. She had one with black hair, but I wanted the purple hair because that was more in tune with the comic book. But for the most part, she was always kind of the odd one out for me. I never really cared for her, and I think they just stuck her in there because Chris Claremont was doing it, and I think he created her. But that's, again, just my opinion. She was there, and she is here, so yeah. And finally, we have Rogue, and this was the original Rogue that came out in the Juggernaut Build-A-Figure Wave, and she was beautiful. I loved her face sculpt and her hair. It was very comic book accurate. And she proved to be the hardest one to find and the most expensive, because this was one of the first Jim Lee costumed rogues that Marvel Legends released. So everybody wanted her, and she was just a bear to find. But anyway, I found them all, and I'm happy, and this is a great looking team, and I love it. All right, let's take a look at the X-Men Gold team. and they are a really nice team to look at too. So again, we had the Professor X, and I said he was going to be in both sets, but then we have Storm, and this particular Storm came from the retro carded series, and that was awesome. I love this white outfit. They have recently put out a black outfit, which I didn't think was as great. Give me a silver and I'll pay some more money for it. Also from the retro carded series was this Iceman, and he was really nice. There was a current Iceman out with, I think, the Juggernaut series or maybe Apocalypse, but he was all spiky and he just didn't look like the one that I remembered from the 90s. Alright, moving on, we have Jean Grey. This was the brand new mold that they had done for the Love Triangle 3-pack with Wolverine and Cyclops, like I spoke of earlier. And I was so close to buying that old version that when this one came out, I was so thankful, because that, like the Rogue, was one of the only Jean Grey figures that we had gotten in this Jim Lee costume. So I was so glad that they put this one out. Alright, from the Sauron Build-A-Figure wave, you had Bishop, and he was Bishop, give or take. He was kind of the new kid on the block when they released this particular Gold team in the 90s, so I wasn't too impressed with him, and if I would have had my way, I would have traded him out for this guy. Yeah, Nightcrawler. So Nightcrawler is awesome. He's always been an X-Men. At the time, obviously, he was part of Excalibur in England. Like the argument I made in his review, he would have definitely been on this team right here, I think. Okay, moving on. This is the Colossus from the 80-year anniversary Colossus versus Juggernaut 2-pack. So I love this Colossus. He reminded me of how he looked in the comics. So some people would say his bracers were different, but you know, he was close enough for me. And finally, we have the Archangel here. He was part of a deluxe package figure. He came with a couple extra heads and some other things with the Apocalypse wave, so which made sense because, you know, Apocalypse made him Archangel instead of Angel. This team was pretty nice. The hardest one to come by in this particular set, I think, was probably Bishop, because the Sauron wave had released a while back and it was tough to come by. Everything else was fairly recent. So this is your XMen Gold team. From here, I went and jumped toward XFactor. Now, XFactor wasn't done by Jim Lee, but it was an X team from the 90s that I enjoyed reading. So let's take a look at the team that we just finished in our last review. And here we have the XFactor team of the 90s, and I love this team. And this was part of the last review that we did, so you saw these guys before, but just as a refresher, for the Quicksilver, we picked him up in the Family Matters 3-pack with Magneto and Scarlet Witch. The Forge figure here came out of the Caliban Build-A-Figure wave. The Havoc and Polaris were 2-packed together. Strong Guy came from his own Build-A-Figure wave, so we had to get an entire wave for that. That was very challenging. And the Multiple Man figure here came from the Apocalypse Build-A-Figure wave, and he was easy to get. The most challenging one to get from this particular group was the Strong Guy, because you had to buy 7 figures just to get of his pieces, so that was kind of annoying, but he was worth it. They've never put Marvel Legend of Strong Guy out before, so he is awesome. I was happy to get a hold of him, so I'm not going to complain. And like I said in the last review, this team isn't complete. It's not going to be complete until they give us a Marvel Legends X-Factor suited Wolfsbane. Hopefully that's down the line somewhere, but if not, I might still look at that one from eBay. It looks really good. So, alright, so this is your XFactor team. So we've looked at the XMen Blue, we've looked at the XMen Gold, we've looked at the XFactor team, but did you know there was also one more team that we can make out of all the X-Men that we have reviewed in this series? Can you guess what it is? Well, if you can't guess, hang on just a second, because I'm about to show you the 4th X-Men team that can be made from these figures. And for the fourth team, did you guess it? This is the cartoon series X-Men. There are some specific figures in the wave that was more akin to the cartoon than they were the comic book series, and I've included those particular figures in this team set. So, taking a look first, you have the Love Triangle Cyclops, Love Triangle Jean Grey with the toy accurate head, and the Love Triangle Wolverine. So these three were best suited for the cartoon rather than they were the comic books. Now they all had obviously some comic book traits and items with them, but for the most part, this was a cartoon set. You had Jubilee, you had Professor X, you had Beast, you had the Retro Storm, and this is the Target exclusive Gambit, who was on the Retro card, and this is the Target exclusive Rogue, who was on the Retro card. This is the second Rogue figure that they released in the Jim Lee outfit, and this one, if you remember the review, was very more cartoon accurate than the original figure, and as was this Gambit. This Gambit was a lighter color, and he didn't have the dark stubble under his head, and they've redesigned his hair to be kind of more cartoon accurate. So this is the cartoon X-Men Marvel Legends, and I love this set. There are some awesome figures in this line, and I am so happy that we did this. It was a lot of fun, and I have a lot of great figures from this series. Alright, moving on. And here they all are, a 2-year project that has come to fruition and completion. This was a chore, but look at the results. These are some awesome toys, if I do say so myself, and I love each and every one of these figures. Now, I'm not saying that I am done collecting Marvel Legends X people. There is rumor that an Excalibur team is going to be released in full, and if that comes out, I will definitely think about purchasing that, because there were some good characters on Excalibur. I didn't really know them all, and eventually I'll probably give in to my completist attitude and have to get X-Force too. So, oh my gosh, help me. I need help. This is crazy. I'm still going to be looking out for that XFactor Wolfsbane, and there's just a lot of other things that Marvel Legends can give us, and doesn't include X-Men. Some other teams that we really need is Adam Warlock and the Infinity Watch. They just put out that comic book version of Thanos with the comic accurate Infinity Stones, so I think that would be a good starting spot if they want to give us the rest of the Infinity Watch. Some single figures. I would love a 2099 lineup. I know we get a lot of Spider-Man 2099, but I would really like to see Doom 2099. So I would love a Nomad figure. I mean, you got the body with the trench coats, so yeah, he should be very easy to do. I'd love to pick one of those up. Nomad was one of my favorite characters in the 90s. As far as the Marvel Legends go, I really loved these figures. They were really well done. The sculpt, the paint, everything, the accessories really worked with these guys. The only thing I could critique that I really didn't like was like the little bands on Cyclops' legs, on Havoc's legs, on Rogue's legs. Those things really bothered me because it was so much work trying to keep them where they looked good, and I really wish they would have just molded those in. But other than that, these were great. I know I've said it 100 times. These are awesome figures. I love these figures. These are my X-Men right here. All of them. Yay. I know some of them are X-Factor, but that doesn't really matter. So this is awesome. Thank you, Marvel Legends, for giving us such great figures. And I am going to love these forever. And thank you guys for watching this series of XMen Blue, XMen Gold, and XFactor, and I hope you enjoyed checking these toys out as much as I did reviewing them. This was a great adventure. Who knows? Tomorrow I might find more X-Men, or I might find a new X-Men team I want to do, so don't give up on Marvel Legends coming from Bots and Books. And that's the review, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and until next time, keep playing.